All right, I want to say good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. My name is Kirsten Sheely. I am the current president for the IIDA Ohio Kentucky chapter, just as of last month, actually. So new to the role, huge shoes to fill. Bear with me. I live in Columbus. I practice architecture and design at WSA. I am joined today by a couple other of our IIDA chapter leaders. So we have Megan Mershman. She's our VP of Special Events. She resides in Cincinnati and works at GBBN. We also have with us our VP of Communications. You can probably guess who that is at this point. Hi, Sammy. Sammy's also in Columbus. She's a designer at Shift Collective, DJ on the side. And then in a few moments, I'm going to introduce you to a couple of our jurors. You'll get the chance to hear directly from them on why they are so passionate about design. But prior to that, first, I want to give a shout out to our chapter's 2022 benefactors. So we can show you all of their lovely logos. You can see there are several organizations listed here who enable us to craft programming that elevates the profession of interior design. New this year, we've had some A&D firm partners step up. They have recognized the value that IIDA brings and are supportive of our mission. So we are very thankful for everyone's monetary and time commitment that you've shown to our chapter. Greatly appreciated. And then a quick rundown of kind of what our agenda is for today. So I'm just going to spend a minute or two off the top here talking about the vision we have for this chapter-wide design awards and how we got here today. I'll turn it over to Megan next. She's going to spend 5 to 10 minutes covering more of the logistics. So submission requirements, key dates, sponsorship opportunities. And then after that, really the bulk of today's conversation is hearing from our panel of jurors. So the good part, probably what you tuned in for. I'll try to make this part quick. Okay. Oh my gosh, that's exciting. So we are kicking off. Oh, hello, Tina. All right. We're super excited today. We are kicking off the inaugural Ohio Kentucky chapter-wide design awards program. We're clapping, we're snapping, we're high-fiving, jazz hands, all the things. It really has been a methodical and deliberate journey for our chapter, which has called upon a huge swarm of IIDA committee members over the years. As many of you know, our IIDA local city centers have been hosting their own interior design awards programs. For some city centers, they've been carrying this torch for decades. For others, we've kind of picked up the momentum and the torch just recently here, creating something from the ground up. So we've been celebrating all this great work and talent at our local level, also throwing some killer parties. So there's been that fun too. But as a chapter, we really wanted to come together, bring our two states together, collectively recognize the impact of design on our communities. It's kind of been a really intriguing time to be part of this profession. The past few years have really broken down barriers. In some ways, allowed people to put their guard down. We've invited colleagues and clients virtually into our own homes. We've been able to connect in a different but potentially more humanitarian way. This has allowed for a deeper understanding of clients, their challenges, and the importance of designing with empathy. While the journey to the finished product has been unpredictable, supply chain, the result has been creating places for belonging. So I'm ecstatic really to gather and celebrate the power of good design and the positive impact it makes on communities across our chapter. And I promise it will also be a good party. So Megan, hand it over to you. I'll let you run down how to be part of all of it.
All right, absolutely. Well, everyone, my name is Megan. I am the VP of Special Events for the Ohio Kentucky chapter, which means guiding our entire volunteer base to plan and work on this event together. I'm captain of the ship. And I'm just returning from maternity leave. And so I've been really fortunate that, this is such a great community and a great support system that others have been able to step up in my absence and keep moving things forward. But I am so excited that we're able to finally take this to the chapter level and really elevate and celebrate the great work that's happening in our state. So for those of you, some of this may seem sort of familiar. A lot of this is baked into what Cleveland and Columbus and Louisville have done in the past. And so some of this may seem really, really similar and familiar. We wanted that to be the case. So I will start off talking about what categories we're going to be looking at for design submissions. So we have 6 categories that we are looking to professional firms to submit under, and I'll talk about each of them specifically, but that is in the categories of learn, work, live, heal, play, and engage. We have a student category for collegiate level projects that students can submit capstones and undergraduate work in, and that is our emerge category. And because we know that this all doesn't just happen with just design firms, but that we rely very heavily on our industry members and partners, we have a creative product category for manufacturers and sales reps to submit their installation projects as well, and have an opportunity to be recognized for their contributions to projects. So I'm going to go ahead and run through and kind of talk about each of the categories quickly. So first, learn. This category, we are looking for K-12, higher education, childcare spaces that could be classrooms, outdoor learning environments, libraries within school environments, student commons, lab spaces, housing, athletics, anything that kind of falls under that K-12 and higher education umbrella. Second category being work. So this is commercial office projects. I think that one's relatively straightforward, though I think work is definitely changing quite a bit. So I think it'll be really interesting to see what kind of projects get submitted these days. Live is our residential and commercial projects. So this is sort of any space where a person resides. That could be a single family dwelling, multi-unit housing, senior housing as well would fall under this category. Our engage category is projects that contribute to sort of any cultural or community value in the civic space. So that could be theaters, performing arts centers, places of worship, something created for civic purposes. So it's a bit of a broader category, but really anything that contributes in that community and civic and public realm. Heal are projects that promote health and well-being. So that could be hospitals, that could be rehab, recovery centers, primary care facilities, medical office buildings, sort of anything that falls under that healthcare umbrella. And then play is our category that focuses on hospitality, restaurant, retail environments, hotels, anything like that. So if you're getting into putting together your submissions and you have questions about what category your submission belongs in, by all means reach out and we will help you find the right category for your submission. All right, Sammy, can you move to the next slide? So in addition to projects winning awards, we want to take an opportunity to recognize some of our members. So we actually have 4 membership awards. So we have Member of the Year to recognize someone who has done something stand out within the last 2 years. a legacy member award to recognize someone for their sort of full body of work and contribution to IIDA over the years, a Student of the Year award, and a Volunteer of the Year award. So there will be an opportunity to nominate and recognize each other in this as well. While project submissions are open now and will be closing in mid-September, member award nomination process will start in early September. All right, and where to go to find out all the information. So we're actually going to hop over to our website really quick and just drive around and kind of show you guys a few things on there to help make this submission process go as smoothly as possible, help you find the information that you're looking for. So when you get onto our website and hit our landing page, under the Attend tab is Design Awards. Click on that and it brings you to this page. Scroll down slightly and you will see where you can submit for event sponsorships, professional submissions, and our creative installation submission. So all of that is open right now and available to everyone. So when you're ready to get started, whether it's paying for your sponsorship or submitting your award, you'll just click that submit button and enter the process. If you scroll down a little bit further, there are sort of two pieces to the submission process. There's getting onto the website and paying for your submission and filling out your entry form. And then there's actually taking your submission and your documentation of your project, and those will be uploaded to Judgify. So we will be using that platform. Some of you might be familiar with Open Water or some other submission processes, but we will be using a platform called Judgify. So the black box with the play button is actually a video to take you through how to get on and go through the submission process, how to get on Judgify, and how to upload your submission. So if you have any questions, that's definitely the first place to start. If you still have questions after that, again, by all means, reach out and we will help you out. But hopefully that video will really kind of help clarify how to go through the process. And then obviously then there's the nitty gritty of everything. And so if you're doing a professional entry or a creative installation, this document you definitely want to download, read through the whole thing. It goes through all of the requirements of what needs to be in a submission, what's allowable, what the categories are. So it's really your guide to assembling your submission. So for a professional entry, it's basically you're going to assemble a single PDF that has floor plans, a description of the project, and I believe up to like 7 images of the project itself. And then we actually ask that you submit 2 kind of top images separately. Those 2 images will be utilized by us to put together the slideshow and things like that from that submission. And then the creative installation is a little bit more streamlined. We're just asking for 2 images and a 500-word description about what makes that particular installation unique or special or compelling. So this is where you come for all the information. This is where you come to start your submission process. So if you do have any questions when you get here or confused about anything, by all means, let us know and we will help you out. All right, so key dates to know. Submissions open today. Yay! It kind of seems crazy that we're already here, but we are. Sponsorships are open currently right now, and those close August 31st. Submissions will be open for 6 weeks and will close on September 19th. And then ticket sales open October 1st. And then our award ceremony is in Columbus on November 18th. So definitely go ahead and mark your calendars for November 18th right now, but these are kind of the key important dates to be aware of. And then while Kristen did a great job of thinking and speaking to the value our benefactors add to the chapter, in addition all of our benefactors do allocate to specific events. So we're very appreciative of those who have already allocated to the event. And then we also have additional event sponsors that have joined our benefactors to help us put on this fantastic event. We still have sponsorships available from $250 up to $2,000 are still available, though they're coming in every day. So they're getting more and more limited as to what is available. We do want to point out we are offering a A&D firm and general contractor level. Those are $250 sponsorships and are available for A&D firms, engineering firms, contractors who would like to have a little bit more presence at the event in either addition to an award submission, or if an award submission is not possible, this would be another way to get your name out. So that is available. Hallie Mikalakis out of the Cleveland Akron chapter is spearheading our sponsorship effort. So her contact information is right here. So if you do have any questions about sponsorships, you want to get involved, she is your contact to help you navigate that part of the process. And again, feel free to post any questions you guys have in the chat. At the very end, we'll circle back after you guys hear from the jury and answer any questions you have about the event as well. And again, please feel free to email me at any time with any questions. And with that, I will turn it over to Kirsten.
Thanks, Megan. A couple things popped into my head as you were talking. You did mention we're going to host it at Columbus this year, the chapter-wide design awards. The intention would be that our chapter is made up of 5 different city centers. I can list them off if you guys are not familiar. Cleveland Akron is 1, Toledo's 2, Columbus is 3, Cincinnati Dayton 4, and Louisville Lexington is the 5th. So the idea would be that the chapter-wide design awards is an every other year event that rotates amongst our different city centers. The in-between years is when our local city centers are planning to continue hosting their design awards. So lots of opportunity to celebrate great design every year. And then I forgot also to mention, after we hear from this amazing jury, the content that they're providing is worthy of an IDCEC credit. So stay tuned to the end of the program so we'll throw up a little QR code and you can get a credit for this presentation. So, okay, that's good with the housekeeping things. So I want to introduce the jury that we've gathered for our first ever chapter design awards. I have to tell you off the bat that Mari unfortunately is traveling and her plane had different ideas about where to be at this very moment. So she is in flight, unfortunately. She was planning to be here, but is not going to be able to make it. Just a quick little synopsis about Mari and who she is. She leads the interior design department at HGA's Minneapolis office, where they work on a wide range of projects, including workplace, education, cultural, and healthcare. Mari actively promotes professional development, mentorship, and equity within HGA. She is the national co-chair for HGA's Equity Group and currently serves on the National IIDA Equity Council. She most recently served as president of the IIDA Northland chapter from 2019 to 2021. And was also recognized as Member of the Year by IIDA in 2021. So basically an IIDA All-Star. I feel bad that she couldn't be with us. She is planning to attend the event in November though. So we hope to hear from her there then and get to meet her. Okay, and then, so at this point, we are gonna look towards Lisa Behringer. Good afternoon, Lisa.
Hi, everybody. Hello.
Lisa is the managing principal at O+A, a design studio based in San Francisco. She oversees the company's operations, has a couple decades of experience under her belt in doing so. Lisa's role is to reinforce a culture that carries out the firm's vision. In a deeper bio, otherwise said, she is a self-proclaimed good party host. So, Lisa, you have to give us like a little quick snippet about the most funny or wild or extravagant event that you have ever thrown, and then I'll let you take it away with all your design knowledge.
Okay. I'll leave the wild out. I'll tell you of the most recent. And actually, it was kind of funny. I didn't write that and I almost didn't include it. Our writer put that in. And I thought, all right, I'm going to go with it. We were so fortunate to have our 30-year anniversary for OPLSA this year. So our founders, Primo Arpilla and Verda Alexander, started 30 years ago. And, workplace was sort of a newish thing still, or the way that we know it now. And we wanted to celebrate, but with the pandemic, we weren't sure that that was going to happen. And Primo had this vision that he was not going to let go of, that instead of celebrating our practice in the 30 years, we wanted to celebrate 30 years of design influence. And so he came up with this idea to do 80s, 90s, and 2000s, the people that influenced him and were the movers and shakers of the Bay Area at that time. And so we had these discussions with each of those decades of groups and brought them all together and invited the entire design community to come in. And we had this rare window where COVID was at bay enough that we could actually have the party. And then we all kind of went back into lockdown. I mean, it just couldn't have worked out any better. So it was an epic party. It was like no other, because we all hadn't seen each other in a couple of years. Employees were meeting for the first time. We had all these great sage people from the design community show up, and they were given a forum. And I think it was a good reminder to us to honor those people and let them keep talking, because it's easy to get stuck in what we're doing today. And yeah, it was a great party. The wild side happened after the party, but we'll let that go to rumor. So that's the most recent party, and it was an absolute blast.
Thank you for indulging us on that one.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Should I switch over to my deck?
Go for it.
Okay.
Hold on, are you able to?
Oop. I'm going to admit someone that's in here. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and throw this up, but if someone needed me to wait for a reason, let me know. Hop back to the beginning. Okay, can you all see that? Okay, cool. All right, I'm gonna hop in. So I think this might be a little unconventional, but I thought, why not? Let's mix it up. So I am an architect by training and by school. However, I've had the great fortune of being at a lot of really cool practices. And back in the day, my dream was to land at Gensler, and I just had to get in there so bad. And they didn't need architects; they needed people in their interiors and in workplace. And so I found myself there for many, many years. And now I have the awesome fortune of being at OPLSA and the managing principal there. So that's just a quick little on me. Whoops, is it going to go forward here for me? Just a second. Oh, there we go. So back to the beginning, I grew up in a really teeny tiny town in Minnesota, and it was a very rural community. And for whatever reason, my parents decided they were ready to get off the farms and wanted to be town people, except, we owned a farm dealership. I think that the seeds were planted where we lived. I grew up in this house, an old Victorian house that was in the middle of town. My parents were high school sweethearts and would drive by this house, and my mother had to have it, and they were going to fix it up someday. So eventually that became true. I would say that maybe the romance ended there, because if any of you have remodeled a house or lived in an old house or know what we do, it was basically like watching War of the Roses or The Money Pit, if you know the movies from the 80s. There was always something going on, something that always needed to be fixed. My mom wanted to renovate it back to period authenticity, so there were wallpapers to research and, you know, kids and people to move from room to room because construction was happening. And so I think that probably my early exposure and passion and understanding of architecture began in this house, and probably understanding the insanity of all of that too. Oops, sorry. Oop, come on. Oh, sorry guys, there we go. I am way fast forwarding from that small town life and just that sort of glimpse at what the possibilities of our design world could be to what ended up being a pretty awesome and unbelievable exposure to amazing clients and projects and teams that I got to work with, working with some of the most prominent companies in the world, just to help them find their own sense of home. So being in the workplace space, working with clients like Facebook, like Dolby, for me, it was what's big, what's complicated from a construction standpoint, design standpoint, team standpoint, client, all of it, I wanted to do it. And so I was so fortunate to be able to say that I could do that as a job captain to start, a project architect, eventually a project manager. And then, oops, oh, I keep doing that, rats, so sorry. Come on. And then eventually as a project principal here at Au. So I've been able to work with just so many amazing people. And I think the main thing that I can pull from it, I'd be happy to dive in deeper into any kind of design conversation anytime, but it's always been about the people for me. And I think that my best project to date is being able to work at Au and to bring a culture forth of people that care deeply about design, care deeply about understanding the human element of it, bringing forth, you know, what caring about people and how that manifests in space, how it can bring out the best in a society. And so this is the crew from the 30-year party, that brief moment that we all got to be together. And I think this is probably going to be my most significant project, is just getting these people what they need to bring forth the best design that they possibly can into the world. I'm going to switch gears though. Given the pandemic, I'm going to go a little personal. So while I was missing all of these people physically and missing that interaction, I got the rare opportunity to be reminded that what we do is busy and it's intense, but we need a chance to be able to refuel and sometimes a place to do it. And there was an old shack on the property that my husband and I lived in, and I decided it was going to be my studio. I was going to have a studio, and this pandemic was going to afford me a chance to look inward and get back to my, you know, creative endeavors that had been on the shelf for a while. So this used to be a boat-shaped duck blind in a lagoon down the road from us, and someone put it up on the property. It was filled with nasty, you know, rodents and ants, and my husband and I are avid do-it-yourselfers. So one day I just walked in and decided to take a crowbar to it and was going to go for it. So you can see here how the shell was there, and it was kind of speaking to us that it needed a lot of work, and we were ready to roll up our sleeves and do that. Here you can see the ants that were raining down on me on that day that I decided to crowbar it. And so it's kind of cool to think about what our partners in construction are up to and what they may be coming up against and unearthing. And it was happening to us real time. It was just really cool. And on this other picture to the right, you can see kind of how raw it was and the windows that were mismatched and you know, structure that needed to be shored up and mold on the walls. It was just kind of the perfect pandemic project to hold up and do for 2 years. Here's some shots of us, and my husband and I were joking that, you know, you're an architect and a designer and you've been doing all of these great things all these years, but do you actually know how to do it yourself? And so I did what we called earning badges. So on the left, you can see that, you know, I was finding windows on Craigslist, old warehouse windows. I was learning how to put siding in. There's me upside down, waterproofing the roof. My husband and I doing demo on the roof, installing our own lighting. We decided to make our own flooring out of concrete planks. So I'm doing a wet saw up on the right, and my husband's working on some cabinetry on the bottom. So I earned several badges, and actually, you know, don't just tell people how to design and build things. I actually can do it now, which is pretty cool. And one thing I'll say, as you guys are thinking about your design submissions, the get into it stuff is as interesting as the finished product. I just recently did the Fab Awards for the Northlands chapter, the jury for that. And I think one thing that I can suggest is, you know, get in there and talk about, you know, what your process was, show what the sketches were if you can, or talk to, you know, what that process was, what you learned from it, not just what the end product was, because I think that's where the really rich information comes from. So here we are. You can kind of see that back wall now with some shoring up and starting to put in siding, expressing the previous structure that had been there, putting in that flooring that we made by hand. My dog Baxter was really busy at his work, as you can see, helping us install the tile. Actually, he's behind me laying on the floor in the same position right now. This was awesome. Just so much fun to learn how to do all of this and make something for self. So this is the end product. It ended up becoming just this really beautiful little home for me to express my creativity. I do a lot of sewing now, and as a matter of fact, now that I have a place, I was so fortunate to have our Adidas client commission me to do an art piece for them, and I was able to do that as my first kind of big sewing project in this studio. So it was fun to have, you know, personal life and personal passions marry up with something that we could do for the client. And I think it turned out beautifully. It was an awesome collaboration. It wasn't pre-planned. It was design as you go. And it was finished just in time for us to have the freedom to get out from the pandemic. I wished I'd had it 2 years earlier when we were holed up together in the house, like I'm sure you guys all experienced with your mates and your kids and whatnot. But anyway, yeah. So this is just kind of an expression of, you know, the breadth of the things I'm interested in besides just design. I love it personally too. And there's our cute little exterior. And that's me. Any questions?
So stinking cute. Oh my gosh.
No,
Okay, wait.
you can go on our website if you want to see the story. Our writer wrote the most darling story about the project. So
Yeah, 2 quick questions. Are you sewing clothing for Adidas or what? What are you selling?
oh, please, come on. Yes, no, it's kind of crazy actually. It's kind of a long story. I'll make it super short. So Mindy Weichman, one of our design directors at the time, she was working with Adidas forever. She and I went on like a little mini vacation together, and she was asking these problems about this like quilt that they wanted designed out of their eco fabric that was just going to be released. Nobody had seen it yet. And she's like, so what do you think we should do? And I was like, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? And she said, do you think you'd want to do it? And I'm like, sure, but no chance in hell they're going to say yes, right? And a week later, she called me. She's like, you know that project? Do you want it? If you can figure it out, you can do it. So it was so cool. They were flying in fabric from Korea, Japan, all their different mills where they were doing these eco fabrics, and I was able to make this quilt out of each of these pieces of fabrics. And then she was able to raid their sewing room and pull, you know, toggles and shoestrings and elastic, and we took inspiration from their clothing line and then made details within the quilt. So now it hangs in like probably like a 15-foot wide by 6-foot tall 3-panel sections in one of their elevator lobbies. But I do sew clothing and other things too, but that was a quilt basically.
We will be requesting a photo.
Yeah, it was awesome. That's rare and awesome and not my normal life. So
I also happened to catch potentially a wine fridge in one of your photos. Is that true?
totally true. Yeah, my husband loves to, or used to love to collect, and so I've been very fortunate. And plus, we live so close to Napa and Sonoma. We're really fortunate to have access to great wine here too. So
Yeah. It was in like the pre-design, pre-construction demo photo. I was
totally. Yes, it was. Yeah. Yeah, we've got it kind of socked away in a lot of different locations. And then he's got a small collection that he had from his batch days. So I still have yet to be able to get access to it or drink it or look at it. Someday.
it looked like a vino and demo party happening over there.
Guilty. When we installed the floors, the concrete floors, we did it over Christmas because you couldn't go anywhere. And greyhounds were the drink of choice on that installation project. So also like that.
Oh my gosh. You're so kind to share with us, Lisa, and be so real and let us get insight into who you are and your design process. We really appreciate that.
Thank you. Thanks for letting me share it.
If anyone has questions for Lisa as we go, feel free to drop them in the chat. We're going to talk with Lakeisha and then kind of open up the floor for a little bit of dialogue, provided we have some time left. So that being said, I'd like to welcome Lakeisha Stanley. Hello, good afternoon / evening.
Good afternoon, or aloha, as I formerly used to say. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so Lakeisha is a healthcare interior designer at Gresham Smith office in Charlotte, North Carolina. She has a pretty unique background. She originally actually worked as an emergency room nurse technician for 7 years prior to entering the design profession. And as she kind of alluded to, she is the current past president of the IIDA Hawaii Pacific chapter. Also has her own home decor line, LWS Boutique, which is supportive of people of color in textiles and product design. So you got a lot going on, Lakeisha. I do want to take 2 seconds, if you don't mind. You told me before we got on here today that you just came off of planning Hawaii's very first ever chapter design awards. And you have all the empathy for us, what we're going through.
Oh my goodness gracious, yes.
Okay, words of advice. Tell us what we must do, what learning lessons, anything that you can share with this crowd as we kick this off.
So I wrote down 3. The biggest lesson, which I feel like you guys are cheating since you already have your City Center awards. This is, even though it's your first chapter award, you guys already look like you're rock stars. So I don't know, but I definitely wrote enjoy the moment because it will fly by. I think most of you guys probably know that from your City Center awards. The night flies and you're like, did I even eat? Did I drink? Did I even have a good time? And did I have an after party afterwards? We did not plan an after party during ours, and I so wish that we would have. But the biggest lesson there is enjoy the moment. Practice your lines. So Kristen, definitely practice your lines, because I can remember just blurbering out all of the firms and I was like, oh my God, I don't think I said any of them correct. So practice your lines. And then of course, we had a lessons learned folder so that we could be able to look back, and that really helped a lot to plan like the next one. So definitely have that lessons learned where you can send out a survey and all that from all the attendees, the submitters, and just really, get a more curated award show for you guys.
I love that. I will be taking volunteers to plan that after party. So hit me up in the chat because I want to go and not plan it.
Here, I will go ahead and share. I just have a small presentation. We'll keep this super high level. So of course, again, Lakeisha Stanley, really big on diversity, equity, and inclusion in design, but then also my background is all over the place, as Kristen said earlier, as far as it's a journey through healthcare to design. And I'm sure you're like, how do you even do that? But my friends would joke and say that they could never understand how I handled body fluids and whatnot. And then now I design, but I realized it's a real beauty in the physical act of caring for a patient, but then an even larger beauty and taking that same caring, but transitioning it into intentional design in a space that can impact a person at their lowest moment. So I just showed just a couple pictures here. You know, I'm a graduate of UNCG. So shout out to Anna Marsha Baker. Love that woman. She was my dean, I believe, at the time. And then, of course, North Carolina A&T State University. I feel like that is where I was bred. But these are two pictures of myself, actually the last day that I was working as a nurse technician in the emergency room, in our trauma room. So you can see I'm a big jokester as I'm sitting on the trauma bed, literally saying, thank goodness this is my last day. I finally made it out of design school. And then this one, this is just a homage of just a great moment. This young lady, she's no longer with us, but she was a wonderful person to work alongside with. So that is my why in design, and just how just healthcare really motivates me into design and back. It sparks my creativity. I can literally go anywhere and be like, "Ooh, I like that," or somebody didn't think about that detail. And we all do that, I'm sure. So I currently work at Gresham Smith, but I always like to give homage to G70 because that is where I started. And I feel like that is really where my design philosophy and understanding came from. And just that we are all cultural practitioners of design, and that culture drives design, and really understanding how the history, the land, or as they call it in Hawaii, the IIDA, the people and the location really fuels your designs into your brand and your end user. So we're all designing creative solutions with a genuine care. So that is then Gresham's tagline. So they literally like interweave together. And I can always think back and it's like, how did I get here? What made me choose Gresham? What made me choose G70? And it was just a perfect culmination of opportunity. So I'm just so thankful. But really in both firms, understanding that culture drives design. And I think we all know culture drives design, inclusivity, for all. And just really creating well-designed spaces for all and not just for the limited few that can afford it. I mean, I really feel we're at a turning point right now that all of us are really trying to be impactful in creating spaces for all walks of life. And then this was just a snippet of how IIDA and Gresham and G70 and just all the opportunities, these volunteer moments like this that just really have cultivated myself. I'm so happy I was able to travel to Japan for a project. And then I think this was the last annual meeting that they had before COVID, I think, because I think the 2019 one was canceled or postponed. I don't know. I feel like all of us is a blur at this moment in time. But this was a nice shot of just all of the melanin designers that were there at the time. And so we just had a great moment. And then this picture, or these pictures, are pictures from Hawaii when we had our blessing of our new office. And it was a really unique moment of being able to see a hula dancer coming and blessing, and again, just bringing culture into design and design into culture. My next slide is my transitioning into Gresham, one of my dear projects that I'm currently working on right now. We are submitting our 100% CDs now, so I'm so thankful because it's been a long journey. But this is a VA project. It is in Hampton Roads, Virginia. 2 stories, 196,000 square feet. And we really just were trying to embrace the outdoors, just giving you guys a little snippet how we are promoting wellness and connecting the patients and visitors, and really just giving homage also to the veterans that visit these locations and providing them excellent design. I really try to put myself in the place of our patients, since I used to be, in a sense, on the other side of it. And once you put yourself in a different perspective of it, you create more meaningful and impactful designs that way. Then this was another, taking it back to my homage of G70, another healthcare project. I had so many projects to choose from, but I was like, okay, let me just pick a few little snippets and babies and whatnot that I felt like were nuggets or pivotal moments in my career. This one, obviously, this is a unique palette. It's an opportunity where we were to pick the artwork, we were doing the architecture and all the finishes. But it was my first project, I feel like, as a young designer, even though I'm still young, technically, I feel like, but a young designer where I was from concept all the way to CA and into artwork. And you guys know, as most designers, we don't get to do all the way from start to finish, FF&E and artwork and everything. So I was really excited for that. And then, so this is just a couple shots from the finished photography of that space. And then also in this one as well. And I truly do miss those views of being able to see the mountains and the ocean all around in all your projects. But, you know, life transitions us to new and better opportunities. And this is just always trying to remember my why and why design. I call it my love letter to design, or my legacy that I like to leave. And I just want to thank you guys for allowing me to volunteer. I'm excited for you all.
Thank you, Lakeisha. I mean, honestly, we're lucky to have you both, so don't thank us. We're grateful for your time and the extra energy you'll put forth for our chapter.
Absolutely.
Okay, Miss Sammy or Megan, have we seen any questions for our jurors floating around? Or if anything's top of mind, now would be the chance for you guys to chime in.
Yeah, we did have one question that kind of falls a little into kind of how we're going to run the event purview and also into the jury purview. And that question was, how many awards are we going to give away per category, and how we're going to kind of structure that. So obviously we don't know how many how many submissions are going to come in. This is the first time we've ever done this at the state level. I think we have some goals and expectations for what kind of engagement we're going to get, but that doesn't necessarily mean we're going to get, we might get 15 workplace projects and 1 engaged project. But with that, we are definitely going to leave this a little bit up to the jury to review the projects with their best eye to see, and their take on what they think is a quality project and deserving of a recognition. Our plan is to give away at least a best in category for each of those 6 professional categories and the creative product install. And then we are going to leave it open to the jury to offer some additional honorable mentions in those categories for projects that they feel are deserving. So at this point, we are planning to leave this a little bit open-ended and let the jury review the projects and make their recommendations on what they see as the best. But the plan is to award at least 1 project in each category.
Yeah, as you mentioned, presuming we get the submissions, which
yes,
I don't think we'll have the challenge given our 5 city centers and all of your outstanding talents.
I was gonna say, and especially with 80 of you on the call with us today, I think we've got some good engagement and excitement going already. So I think we're all feeling very optimistic and really excited about the support that you guys are all already offering us just by being here today. All right, and then I actually got kicked off, had to come back in. So I have after that question, I lost anything that was in the chat. So I don't know, Sammy, if you saw anything else that came in.
No, nothing else.
Okay. Does anyone else on the call have questions for Lakeisha, Lisa, or for myself or Kristen about the process?
Sammy, will you just throw up our last slide with some key date reminders on it? Thank you so much.
All right, and so again, those dates that are listed, those are the key dates. Transportation, we will be offering buses from each of the remote cities into Columbus. So be on the lookout for information about getting a seat on the bus. You can get your seat at the same time as you buy your tickets. And we plan to open ticket sales on October 1st. If you have any questions at all, please, please, please email me. I am happy to answer those for you. The link to our event website is here, IIDAOHKY.org/design awards. And then for those of you who joined us today, make sure you get your phones out and scan that QR code into your IDCEC app so that you can get an hour of credit for joining us today.
Yeah, heads up on that QR code. It usually expires after 24 hours or something. I found that I learned that lesson before.
Yeah, so definitely we'll leave it up for a few more minutes as people are exiting so that everyone can.
Okay, and we're getting feedback that it's actually not working right now. So scan through IDCEC app.
Yeah, you definitely have to, you can't just scan it through your phone. You have to open the IDCEC app and scan it there. You can't just use your camera.
And then
we did get, I was just gonna say, are you gonna read Tracy's question?
Yeah, we did get Tracy's question. Thank you, Tracy. If someone has won a member award in the past at a city center, are they eligible for a chapter-wide membership award?
I'd say the answer to that would be this. I think it's yes. And that's the same as if your project that has been completed since, if it's a project that's been completed since 2019 and it won an award at a city center level, we will still accept it for a chapter level award. So using that logic, I would apply the same thing to a membership award. If you've won a membership award at a city center level, I think you can either self-nominate or be nominated again for that award at the chapter level.
Thank you, Tracy. Great question.
All righty. Well, we will leave this screen up for a few minutes as you're exiting so that everybody can get it scanned into the app. If you are having any technical difficulties and do still want credit, please let us know and we can make arrangements for you to get that credit as well. And again, thank you so much, Lakeisha and Lisa, for joining us. I think it's always really helpful to kind of understand who the jury is that's reviewing projects. So I think we really appreciate your willingness to take extra time in addition to reviewing the awards to joining us today and sharing a little bit about yourselves.